Hey everybody, and welcome to our next video in our series. We are doing our series on the Node server built in Nest.js. We added GraphQL, we also added Prisma to connect to the database, we added Morphism to convert that database object over to our GraphQL object, and we added Day.js as a small library as an alternative to Moment.js. Today we're going to deploy that Node server onto the internet. And this is going to be a good tutorial here. We're using Heroku to do this, and I'm going to show you how to get set up with Heroku and then how to add your project to Heroku so that you can get your project up online, even if it's just a small hobby app. So we're here on Heroku, and you can sign up for free or you can log in. I have an account, so I'm just going to log in. And what you're going to do is create a new app. Now I have an app created already because I'm using their Postgres database, and so I created that through Heroku, and you can see that here, my Heroku Postgres. So I'm just going to use this. If you don't have this, that's fine. Just add a new app, and we'll get started. There are a couple things we need to do first to the project. So let's open that up, and the first thing we need to do is go to our package.json. And we need to add engines to our package.json here. And then we're going to add Node. Now your Node version might be different from mine. The way you can find your Node version is to do a node -- version. So I'm running 10.16.3, a little behind, but that's okay. That's for some work stuff. And you might be on a 12 or something like that. That's fine. When you add your Node version onto here, just delete that last minor version and turn it to an X, and that will allow it to use whatever minor version and just keep it on the main versions here. All right, so that's our first step. Our second step here is to change our start command to actually be the prod command. The reason why I'm doing this is because when Heroku is using their hobby, you're not paying for it. You don't get the option of changing your start command, so yarn start or npm start is what you get. So we're going to copy this over to here. Oops. There we go. And then we can go ahead and delete this other one here. So when we're on dev, when we're on our local, we'll use the yarn start dev instead. And that's what we've already been using because we needed the hot reloading, which is the watch command here. I'm also going to delete these generate typings because they will have already been built using the build command. So this is just going to start the main file. So now that that is done, we can go to our source and then modules and app module. And one thing I noticed was that when I deployed it, I wasn't able to access GraphQL very well, or at all rather. So what we need to do is force the playground. And what we're gonna do is add the playground equals true. And so that will make it so that the playground will be available to us. You don't necessarily need this if you're using another app like Postman or Insomnia to connect to the GraphQL URL, but because we're using the playground, I'm just going to force that to true. And then the last thing we need to do is come over here to main, and Heroku uses their own port, and so they set their own variable for that port, and we need to use that port here. So I'm going to do a const port equals process.environment.port. Otherwise, we'll use our 3000 port, and then we can add the port here. So if we don't specify a port, it will just use 3000. If they do specify a port, then it'll use that port instead. That will make it so that Heroku can use their own port. Great. So now we've gotten all that done. So let's hop over to here, and what we're going to do is we're going to use GitHub to publish this app. And so you can come over here to deploy. And so first, actually, what we need to do is commit all these changes. So we're going to do git add all, git commit -m, getting ready for deployment, and then git push. Oh, I need to create the branch, so we'll do it here. Push. All right, so now we've got our branch up there, so we can go over here to GitHub, and then you can select whichever repository or whichever location, and then we're going to search for CVC data and connect. So now our project is connected to this Heroku app, and then you can set automatic deployments, and then we're going to push this deployment branch here. Now you most likely will do this over the master branch. However, for the sake of this video, I'm just doing it on the video branch that I've set up right now. So you can do it either way. Right here you're seeing your build logs, and what's happening is it's getting the repository, it's downloading all the node modules, and then what it's going to do is build your app using the build command, and then it's going to start your app using the start command that you've specified. And I'll show you that here. Here we go. So it's this dyno formation, and since I'm on the free tier, it's just a web npm start. This is a free dyno, but you can configure your dynos here, and you can edit it. But because, again, I'm on the free tier, I get just npm start. You can define, you can get larger dynos, you can pay for it, and get access to change that if you want. But because I'm just doing a hobby right now, it's not that big of a deal for me. And let's check in on our deployment. There we go. So it is currently generating the typings. So it's building the files right now, so you can see here where it got all the packages. So now it's building it. This rimraf dist just makes it so that it deletes the dist folder before it generates again. Now it generated and it built, and now it is about to start. And so now it caches the build, that way if nothing changes, it'll just push out that cache, which is helpful for quick deployments. If you don't change anything in your node modules, then there's no sense in getting those node modules and building that. And now it says it succeeded, so what it's going to do is compress that build and then run that build so that you have access to it. And now it's launching. So now it is launched at this URL. If you have the CLI installed, you can do that by typing npm i-g for global Heroku. And once you have Heroku installed, you can do Heroku logs -a and then the name of your app, so mine is CVC data, and you can get the logs for your app after you log in. And you can see here that it has changed from starting to up, and you can see the logs that we get from our Nest.js server. Great, so now let's hop over to the app. Let's open up the app, and you can see here our hello world, and then we can do a /GraphQL, and it opens up our GraphQL. Amazing. So what we can do is just add our query. So get bulletins. We'll do get bulletins, and we got ID. So let's do that. Oh, right. It's bulletins ID. There we go. There we go. We can see our ID. We have a PDF. We have an image. We have a date and a month and a year. And there's all of our data. This is coming from our database, like you did in one of our previous videos where we connected up the database to the app, and now it's up on Heroku at this URL. So there you have it. That's how easy it is to get started on Heroku and you get your app on the internet. So what we're going to do next is look into some extra things we can do to make our app a little bit better, and then we're going to get started on the UI. So thanks for watching, guys.